Immediately after spawning in, I spotted something in the distance. Was it a turtle right after I logged in? In the early hours of the foggy morning, it looked kind of like a turtle, but I couldn't tell if it was alive. A dead turtle? Suspicious, I looked around for the potential culprits of the turtle's demise. It certainly looks dead. What killed the turtle? I couldn't see anyone, so I flew down to take a closer look. Let us investigate. Nothing seemed out of place as I casually flew down to the corpse. Despite it being a well-lit night, everything was still, and it was quiet. But right as I came to land on the corpse of the turtle, I was startled by another Pteranodon, who managed to evade my detection. I'm not sure if they were talking to me or to each other, but I said hi back anyway. One of them, a much larger male than I, came down to check me out. He was friendly, but wasn't interested in any of the meat. I assumed this was his kill, and he had already had his fill. While we were hanging out, I spotted something in the distance that I wasn't very sure about. The smell of the corpse could attract predators, so I was wary as to what it could be, but after adjusting my eyes, I quickly realised it was only a deer. It's a deer over there. The other Pteranodon obviously spotted it as well, but wasn't sure what it was, and got spooked, because he flew off. A viable strategy when you're essentially just leather stretched over a bone frame. Concerned for my well-being, he also warned me. I'm pretty sure I encountered this guy at South Plains earlier that day. Couldn't help but be entertained that deer had scared him. What's a deer? Having consumed enough turtle to fulfill my nutrient requirement, I took to the night sky. As I flew over the deer, I couldn't help but think it would have been more spooked by him than he was of it. I wished the other Pteranodons good luck, bid them farewell, and we parted ways. The fog thickened as the night continued, diminishing the light and my ability to see. Landing on a nearby tree, I realised I wasn't using night vision, so I turned it on, and shortly after, my second mutation unlocked. For my first mutation slot, I selected photosynthetic tissue to be able to cover a bit more distance during the day. I went with reabsorption for my second mutation so I could recover water during rainy weather, which would be handy during unexpected thunderstorms. After hanging out to regain some of my stam, I took off again. My goal was to fly around to South Plains from the bay, so I decided to cut through the forest. I could hear the morning calls of waking dinosaurs echo through the forest and plains, as I ducked and weaved through rays of golden sunlight as they broke through the trees. South Plains was just over the horizon, so to avoid having to find a place to perch in a zone notorious for lurking predators, I decided to land on the top of a tree to cap off my stamina. However, the landing did not go to plan. Thankfully, I was caught by a well-placed branch underneath the one I had tried to land on. After topping off my stamina a little, I continued on towards South Plains. I could hear stegos calling in the distance, but I wasn't sure of the direction of the calls were coming from. There are usually many different species at South Plains, so I figured the stegos were migrating there, if they weren't already there. On my approach to South Plains, the sun broke over the mountain forest in the far distance, casting a shadow over the river running south from the gorge, through to the falls at the end of the plains. Being the morning, I figured most dinos would still be waking up after hunkering down for safety through the night. Beyond the threat of dinos, it seemed like the water would be safer right now, so I fished up some breakfast. In the distance, I could hear another Pteranodon, likely doing the same thing. There's been an update since this footage was recorded that included changes to both how the diet and the hunger systems work. The patch released at the end of October, with the changelog stating new diet math and new diet combinations have been added. The devlog released at the beginning of October hints to the nature of these changes, with the lead programmer for the game stating that diet slots are now permanent, with the corresponding effects scaling with a fill percentage of each, meaning no more stacked diet combinations. I'll leave a link in the description that explains those changes. Anyway, I flew back to the lower falls and continued fishing for more breakfast. Of the two sets of falls at South Plains, many players consider the lower falls the safest to drink at. So it's smart to keep your wits about you, because it's not uncommon to find yourself in a risky situation here. After catching my next meal, I landed, which is when I heard this sound. It sounded faint, so it was hard to make out exactly what it was. But predators stalk the sanctuary a stone's throw to the east from the river. It obviously startled my fish too, because it slipped out of my beak and fell through the ground into infinity. At this moment, the sneaky Serato managed to evade my detection, thanks to his well-chosen camouflage colours. so after losing my meal, unawares, I went to the edge of the river to refresh myself. As I looked up and across the water, I saw them standing on a rock across the bank. I realised they were probably the source of the faint sound I heard earlier. They looked like a juvenile, and they were sniffing for food, so I decided to catch and offer them a friendly meal. When I circled back around with the fish, I initially thought I had lost them, but when I came around a small bush on the bank of the river, he was easy to spot. So I dropped my catch in front of the bush and went and fished up another one. At this stage, he was running around again, so I dropped it at the edge of the forest for them, but they took off. After having a bit of fun, and with the threat gone, I felt comfortable enough to quench my thirst. Thinking to the journey ahead, I also decided to grab another fish to bring with me. Shortly after, I set off to see where the day would take me.
Alright, let's go see if those Pteranodons are still there. So, I bring gifts.
As I glided toward the coast, the scenery below glowed with the light of the mid-morning sun. Tucker burrows were scattered across the shores of the beaches, the squawks of their residents echoing through the mouth of the bay. As I was trying to catch the scent of anything interesting in the area, the fish I'd brought with me from the river decided to try his luck in the sea. Whether it's a bug or from a bad internet connection, this Pteranodon doesn't seem to like holding things in its beak. Continuing on, I figured I would find a meal, so I kept my eyes peeled. Another Pteranodon broadcasted in the distance, so I replied in kind. Maybe this was that friendly male I encountered last night. Soon after, I came across another dead turtle, and figured I may as well cap off my diet and hunger for the road. I ate my fill and rested for a moment, all while the other Pteranodon continued to call out to me, slowly getting closer, but circumnavigating my path. So, I grabbed some turtle meat to take with me, just in case we found each other.
Gift giving a second try.
There was a tall crag, just a short flight inland from the coast, and thankfully I had enough energy to safely land for a rest. The scent from the chunk of meat was giving away my position, and I hadn't heard the boisterous Pteranodon in some time, so I consumed it for the sake of my own survival. With my hunger satiated, I took a nap on the side of the crag, with some sparse foliage giving me the cover I needed. After a siesta, I continued on to West Rail Access Pond in search of frogs to replenish my low S diet. My compass showed meat closer to the water, and I saw the dead body of a juvenile, well, something, laying in the middle of the dirt track. As I circled the grassy plain, I heard the bark of a Utahraptor close by, and as I came over the ridge to see the pond, I spotted what I'd smelled earlier. Not long after, I started hearing the trilling calls of a small dinosaur. Then, movement in the bushes. A splash lured me back to the water, and I attempted to spot the ripples left behind by the bay-pea. Maybe it was trying to catch frogs, or fish. I needed a Pteranodon's eye view, so I circled the perch on a palm tree for a moment while the bay-pea continued to call out. But a thud soon caught my attention. I hung paused, scanning the shrubbery beneath when I heard the quiet sound of climbing claws. That bay-pea might have been trying to warn me. I knew I heard something in those bushes earlier. At least the bay-pea would be relatively safe, being faster than a Herrera in the water. Either way, with low stamina like this, latching onto a tree wouldn't let it refill, so I went back to my roost for now, though all the while I kept close to the crag to gain some cover, wondering if that Herrera might still be hunting me down. Only a short time later, there was a young Diablo broadcasting at the top of its lungs somewhere nearby. I wondered if it was in distress when an angry Cerato roared in return. Except, at least by my ear, the carnivore sounded further away. Perhaps the youngster was trying to find its kind, or it was lost in the forest. That's when I spotted the Herrera in the field below my secluded perch, moving away from my position across the field. Keeping a casual eye on the bay, I spotted movement far off, at the base of a bush, and having gotten enough energy for some more fun, I took off to check it out. It was the noisy baby dibble, just a speck in the grass. Speeding up, I swooped the predator, trying to distract it, but the Herrera was waiting for its chance to pounce. I hoped it might try and snatch me out of the sky, yet on my second pass, it attacked the baby instead. Catching the youngster didn't take long, and on this island, it has always been a game of survival of the fittest. The Herrera has its meal, and the Diablo has the chance to begin again somewhere else, to live another life. Having not provided much help, I retreated to the tallest palm tree overlooking the bay, sure that if the Herrera came after me again, I'd at least have plenty of warning this time to get away. The agile predator eyed me off, and though it wasn't lucky enough to make a meal of me, in nature, it's inevitable that predators will find prey. After biding some time, and knowing the Herrera was otherwise occupied with a full belly, I looped back to the pond west rail access to resume my patrol for frogs. Silently gliding over the water, I managed to spot one sitting on the far bank. Sneaking up on it, one quick snap was all it took to subdue it.
Sucker.
Maybe it was taking a nap by the water's edge. Sleepy or no, it's important to take any meal offered to you if you want to survive till adulthood.
Just keeping diet up is hard enough.
With night quickly approaching, I soared between the trees, retreating to eat my prey in seclusion on the forest floor. A dangerous endeavour, so I ate my snack as quickly as I could. Thinking to my next move, a stego began calling in the distance, mimicking a giant cow, but this one's covered in armour plates and equipped with a morning star for a tail. Sometimes, stegos are shady characters at best, untrustworthy one day and your protectors the next. There's usually a lot of activity around these lumbering herbivores, so I knew finding it could promise more fun.
Hey, Dilos.
Soaring over the ridge of South Plains, I carried my froggy friend towards the river to discover who was in the area.
Let's try and surprise somebody.
As I went, I started to hear Diablos, and surprisingly, a galley in the distance. But in the dimming light, the venomous Dilos evaded my notice at first.
Here. Oh, they're on the waterfall. There's the Dilo. There's the Dibble. A herd of Dibbles. So 1, 2, 3, 4.
A decent-sized group of Diablos came seemingly out of nowhere. They probably just quenched their thirst at the river, but I decided to drop my frog off to see what would happen.
Here, Dilo. Have the frog.
There was so much going on, it was hard to keep up with it all.
Ooh, I hear a... Is that a Pteranodon? Oh, not a Pteranodon, no. No, that's a Herrera, for sure. That's... I don't know where that is, I'm not gonna land anywhere here.
That Pteranodon kept getting closer, but my attention was captured by the happy little herd. Then, a Serato charged into the open. Its roars rolled over the plains as it joined the hunt.
Serato. Oh, there's the Pteranodon there.
The other Pteranodon announced themselves and quickly said hello, but I kept up with the herd, soaring to follow them as I returned to the greeting. With the scene below, I couldn't help but appreciate it with them. The stego was on the rocks near the waterfall, like a sentinel, watching impassively.
Yeah, 2 Dilos.
I took in the spectacular view while I read the Pteranodon's chat message about grouping up. Then, I looped around the falls once I'd answered them, following some movement in the water.
What's that?
With a few passes, I eventually spotted Herreras, swimming and diving for a meal.
And there's heaps of Herreras there.
They seemed friendly enough, so I left them to their frolicking. The female Pteranodon wanted to nest, but I was on a solo mission to adulthood today, so I wished them luck and made my way up the river to fish up some dinner. Maybe I'll start a family another day. With the fish firmly in my beak, I witnessed one of the nimble Herreras jump across the span of the river. I chose a nearby tree and ascended to the higher branches to latch on and feast in private. rubbing at my eyes at the sudden disappearance of the waterfall at this distance when I turned back. After a quick chuckle, all I needed now was to have a good drink. Coming back to the upper waterfall on the plains, I heard another baby somewhere in the water. What an odd group, but let's hope there's no dinos in this river. I chose an island slightly further on, a little more shallow, but no less perilous. Drinking slowly but surely, I kept my wits about me and listened for any sign of ambush, which was difficult with the increasing rain. Thunderstorms can hit the island at any time, and they can quickly turn fearsome, so I switched my night vision on to give me an edge as I surveyed from the skies. The usual Herreras were lurking in the middle of the falls, keenly aware of every pass I made. But the rain didn't ease up, and soon I tried to find refuge under the drooping fronds of a palm tree, except the sound of those climbing Herrera claws earlier haunted me, so I hovered, uncertain, checking the tree trunk. Tucking my wings, I dropped a short distance before extending them. The Herrera must have been waiting for me to land, so I chose the other, more unoccupied tree to wait out the storm this time. And that's when I noticed the stego below me, swaying from side to side, trying to dance with me. This stego called me all the way to teach me. How nice of them.
Boy.
Weaving around the trees, I saw the dancing stego, frozen for his signature end move. But once I looped back around, it had resumed its normal broadcasting. Night fell, and the rain kept on, but I had a good view from a cliff overlooking the plunge pool, and while resting, I managed to spot a Serato. Once hearing my call, they made a beeline for me in the dark. I watched them with curiosity as they skidded to a halt when I made another noise. I flew rings around them until they took a snap at me. Cheeky thing. I just wanted it to follow along, except as I tried to lead the Serato to food, I spied a galley standing on the ridgeline. I called a warning to it and hung around the pack of Seratos to check them out as they ate their downed Diablo. The speedy galley had cleared out by that time, and I flew back to my roosting spot to wait for the morning sun. Overnight, I ended up transferring to a new tree not far away instead, nestled in the uppermost branches as my last mutation finally unlocked upon reaching adulthood. A decrease of nutrition decay rate would be very useful indeed, and now I could go forth and see how my life unfolds, which of course means more fishing. Such a peaceful night over South Plains, just me and the cool breeze over the water. Time to get some practice in. Snapping up fish in one shot, that takes timing and patience. It's easy to miss, and in this world, if you miss, you don't eat. On the second try, I nabbed one, but it wasn't wise to stay too close to the river. I chose a pretty risky landing spot, plenty of visibility, and yet I moved away from the water's edge, just in case. You never know when something bigger might come by. Even at night, you don't want to get too comfortable. Suddenly, I heard a Dylone on the prowl nearby, and sensing possible trouble, I picked up my prize and launched into the air. and I soon spied the Dino, hanging out by the stego, who was still on the waterfall. When I got closer, a Cerato was approaching it. A bold move. I wondered how this would play out. I accidentally dropped my fish on the bank, but maybe the Cerato was hungry enough to grab it. Stegos, as a rule, don't like to be bullied, and this one was ready to put that drinking Cerato in its place, even though it might have been testing its limits, but it's no match for a fully grown stego. And then, there they were, another contender, the Carno, who had come down from the fields to contest the Cerato's roars. The Carno wasn't in a hurry, just giving me a quick glance as I cruised by. No harm, no foul, just a little recognition, but that Cerato was still testing its luck with the stego. The carnivore crossed the river a couple of times. Bad move. You're testing fate, swimming with that stego watching. Those spikes are no joke. The cornered stego didn't back down, taking to the water and crossing themselves, yet it only got ambushed by the predator mid-swim. The stego returned to their rocks, bleeding for their efforts, and the paddling Cerato got the hint for now, but I had a feeling it wasn't done yet. In the meantime, I had my own business to take care of. I swooped down, and there it was, Ripples. Could it be that baby I spotted earlier? It could jump out of the water and collide with me. Better to leave it be. Delivering food as always, I had no need to interfere further. Whilst casually observing, I heard a loud chomp beside me. If I didn't know any better, I would have thought that was for me. Then, the determined Cerato crossed yet again to pursue the stego. It's like some kind of relay race, or are they going to start a swim team? Not long after, the Cerato was trying a new approach, a little friendly call, maybe testing the waters. It wanted a bite, but its prey didn't seem so accommodating. Oof, perfect timing. That stego wasn't in the mood for games. Just one swing, and the Cerato was down without a fight. And then there was the Carno, the opportunist, tentatively swimming towards the body of its once competitor. It didn't wait long, yet, luckily for it, the stego had already made its retreat. No more tail spikes today. The show was over, and the Cerato had learned the hard way. Time for me to get some rest as well. Come the dawn, I couldn't resist checking to see if anyone was out and about. Maybe there would be another herd. Whoa, close call. I almost trimmed the grass there, didn't realise how low to the ground I was. A reminder to always be aware. With the expanse of the bay before me, I thought about how every day brings new adventures, and as long as the sky was mine, I'd keep on flying. I soon had a target for a meal, a Pteranodon on the beach below me. I landed, and the small dinosaur disappeared into its burrow. I quite like this feature. It makes hunting them much more interesting. After some digging, the taco emerged, and I took off to block its escape route, but I could hear something else getting closer as well. As I scrambled to catch the fleeing taco, a baby Terra joined me to see if I was willing to share my prey. When I downed it, my curious new friends circled, probably hungry, so I gave them a friendly call and began eating to show that I wasn't a threat. The circle of life goes on, and helping out the next generation is a kindness, not an expectation. We feasted together for a while, then I took off again, continuing on through the bay as I wished them luck on their journey. At such a small size, I wondered if it had been investigating the sanctuary zone nearby. Once I'd traversed the bay, my S diet was getting low, so I returned to my old stomping grounds to search for more frogs. West Rail access is popular, but I didn't know this was called Hillside Pond. You can check out the unofficial map in the description. It isn't totally up to date, but the names of landmarks can be toggled, which is handy if you're still learning. Arriving at the pond, there were a couple of frogs chilling on the bank. Was something in the water making them sleepy? Either way, free meal, done. I snapped one up and made my exit before another sneaky Herrera could try and eat me. On a rise nearby, I devoured my meal and considered dealing with my thirst, seeing as no predators had appeared when I'd landed. Taking my chance, I drank as swiftly as I could, watching the water for any disturbance. And when I was satisfied, I made my way back to my perch and heard a Pteranodon calling out, so I screeched a few times to let them know I was in the area. After a successful landing, I took a quick look at the sky to see if I could spot them, but had no luck. Rather than waiting for them, I carried my frog and went in search. As soon as I took off, however, other baby Pteranodons started calling back to me. Was this the one I ate with, or yet another fresh spawn? I could hear the newest one somewhere off to my left, but I had yet to see them. Gradually rising, I kept my eyes peeled, ready to offer my prize, when it slipped out of my beak. Yet again, another snack lost. But life goes on, and I was sniffing for any possible carcasses in the area when a chat message popped up. Was this the young one? I said g'day back, but they wanted to know if there was any fish in the pond. Seeing as I'd recently had a drink and none had spawned in, I let them know. Unlucky, but it happens sometimes. They'd have to go to South Plains, or the lazy lake further up the coast to the north, to find fish. On the other hand, I wanted to know what had become of my frog. Hovering for a moment, I landed, but some part of me knew just where it would be. I glanced up, and to be sure, there it was, pretending to be a Pteranodon. Just a silly bug, but still pretty funny. Though, in case the other Terra could still smell it, I let them know it wasn't going to be edible. Luckily for me though, there was another sitting right next to where the last one was. I caught it too, and set off to deliver it. However, I called a few times, but got no response. Knowing young Pteranodons, they'd be somewhere around here, South Plains or the bay, searching for tacos, turtles or crabs. It wasn't long after that I spotted a galley, likely combing the beach in search of food. Approaching at Mach 5, they seemed surprised to see me. And even though I tried to give it away, my frogs were determined to stay airborne today. Sorry, galley, I hope you find something. They broadcasted as I veered away, perhaps a little disappointed, but I was sorely in need of a roosting spot for the night, tucked away with a good view. Somewhat tired after all the amazing things I'd seen, I glided up to the cliffside, overlooking the beaches of the bay, having one last look before I tucked my wings in, ready to rest. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more content, and I'll see you next time.